Welcome to London South Art Hub. This week's lesson is a very special lesson. Miss Mulvan has asked me to do a one-off lesson with you all about digital art. You will need to borrow a phone or a tablet from an adult in the house, and you're going to need to download an app called Procreate. Now, this app is not on Android devices, and what I will do at the end of the video is share a list of alternative apps that you can use that will do exactly the same thing. It might look slightly different, but you'll have fun working out where you can find all the tools and everything in there. Let's get started, let's go. Once you've downloaded your app, you'll find it on your dashboard or on your home screen or wherever you're going to keep your apps. Click Procreate, open it up. Every time you open your app, you'll find all of your images are saved here. So you can make as many images as you want and they'll always be saved. You can do lots of cool things with this once you've finished as well. So we're going to start a new image, and to do that you go to the top right hand side of the screen and press plus. You've got a range of different options that you can do. I'm going to go for, let's do screen size, so it's the full screen. We're going to draw a planet today, and the reason why I'm going to draw a planet is because you might have seen earlier in the week it was the first full moon of the year, and don't you just sometimes look up at the moon and just think, oh my god, it's amazing. The possibilities of what's out there, amazing. Anyway, I digress. So I'm going to show you the first few tools that we're going to start using today. And it's starting in the top right hand corner, going from right to left. You've got your colour wheel here. So if you tap on that with your finger or your pencil if you've got one, and it opens up here. And you've got all these colours that you start with, but you can also do here. You can do a sort of colour picker on a palette. You've got a colour wheel, so you can think about your colour theory, what colours are going to match. You've also got in here, you've got some palettes to get you going as well. And you've got some cards as well, and you can scroll through all of those. Next to that, you've got your layers. And I'm going to come back to that in a moment. You've got your eraser tool. You've got your smudge stick. And then you've got your brushes. Now, if you click on brushes, you can see you've got all these awesome different types of brushes that you can use. So if I click on, let's go on airbrush. I've got a soft blend here. If I go on, let's do abstract. Got some cool shapes here. Look at that. How cool is that? And then if I go into vintage, what have I got here? Let's do some bolts going across. And what you can see is very quickly, your digital art is actually looking like it's a bit organic, a bit sort of homemade, a bit real. On the other side here, we've got two sliders. This one here, that's the size of your brush. Let's pick a normal brush to show you this. Let's do a HB pencil, just like you use at school. And if I've got my brush on the largest side, that's the largest pencil I can do. If I bring it right down, I've got a smallest pencil. Next to that, you've got something called opacity. Now, opacity is basically how much of that shape, how much of that brush, how much of that layer that you can see. So if your opacity is on full, let's pick a soft pastel brush, change the colour. Opacity here, there's slider here, it's on full. You can see, I can't see through what I'm painting, so it's not opaque. But if I bring it right down to about 35, 27, you can see I can see through it a little bit. So it's a bit like looking through a window. And this is really cool when you start building up your textures. But anyway, Mr. Young's boring you now. Great thing about Procreate, if you've made a mistake, you can use your eraser tool and you can go in and you can, ooh, done. You can delete like that. Or if you press two fingers on the screen, it will go one step back. So if you make a quick mistake and you want to go back, just put two fingers on the screen to undo. Amazing, eh? Right, let's have a look at our layers. Now, if you think about the night sky, if you think about the galaxies, the stars, the planets, everything that's out there, goes on for, it's infinite almost, isn't it? And we can have that same effect with layers. So if I was to do here, let's do a new layer, and I wanted to add in a campfire colour, that's called. Let's do soft pastel, done. Let's make that massive. I could do a layer like that, and then I can do a new layer on top, and I could do a different colour, like so. So I can shade that in. I could even do another new layer on top of that, and I could get let's do a paintbrush, whee, like that. But today, what we're going to do is think about our night sky. And I realise I'm at 4 minutes already, so I'm going to race through and show you what my planet's going to look like and hopefully that'll inspire you to go off and create your own awesome planets. So let's go. I'm going to do my background colour first, and I'm going to go for something. I'm going to use my picker here. I don't want, let's do full black, okay. And I'm going to just paint it in. And as you can see, it's a bit like when you use a normal paintbrush. As you go over it or press down lighter or harder, you get this real sort of cool texture going on. So I'm just going to fill my canvas like that. That's my layer there. I'm going to do another new layer. And this layer, I'm going to do a bit of a lighter grey. Let's go for that there. And I'm going to pick a brush with a bit of texture. I know these brushes really well, and you will do too once you get to use the app a bit. So, but I know that Salamanca is a nice, cool brush there. So I'm going to just come over. I'm just going to do a bit of a, just random, trying to get a bit of texture, like so. That's my next layer there, like that. And then I want to do something even lighter. And I'm going to do for this one, I'm going to go down to stucco. Like a stucco brush. I'm just going to go over like that. Do I like that? Tell you what I'm going to do. Because it's a layer, I'm going to delete it. I'm going to go back. And I'm going to do my next layer again. And actually I'm going to use, let's use a watercolour brush. I've made a mistake. I'm on that layer. I need to create a new layer. So if I've made a mistake, I can click 2 fingers on the screen and go back a step, which I've done there. I want to create a new layer, and I'm just going to wash that like that, like this. Woo! I'm not really worrying too much because this is a texture layer. Now, I want to take a bit away from that texture layer now to let the layer behind it seep through a bit. So I'm going to click on my eraser, and I'm actually going to go for, let's go for a spray paint layer, and I'm going to go for flicks. I'm just going to delete this. No, I don't like that. 2 fingers. Let's go back. I'm going to go for fat nozzle. That just means that there's a really big nozzle on that. I'm rushing through this. It's not even that good, actually. I could do this better, but I want to race through so you can get cracking with yours. Anyway, that will do for my background. New layer, and I'm going to draw my planet. Now, my planet is going to be roughly a circle. I could draw a circle using a brush. I could get my ink in like this, and I could go like that. And as I finish the circle, hold it down and it roughly connect it. Or I can do this. If I come up to the top left, click the 4th one along, I get all these shape options. And I want an ellipse. I'm going to do an ellipse like that. Perfect. Let's change the colour of that. Let's go for, what colour do I want my planet to be? Let's go for that sort of dark colour there. Yeah, nice. Nice. Oh, made a mistake there. I want to add a bit of texture to this because you can see at the minute, it's a bit flat, isn't it? And sometimes the problem with digital art is it can just look a bit Windows 95. You'll know what I mean then. If you don't, ask your parents what Windows 95 is. I want to add some texture to this, so I'm going to put a bit of a brush stroke over it. And to do that, I'm going to put a new layer, and I'm going to get a new paintbrush. Drawing, let's go with painting. Want a real nice texture. Let's go with Salamanca, and I'm going to go for something quite dark, actually. Let's go for down there. And what this is doing is building up a bit of an atmosphere of my planet. You can see there. Doesn't that look good, eh? Doesn't that look good? What I'm going to do now is show you, let's do another layer. Let's do some more texture. Let's do Nico Run, and let's go, oh, a bit too much. So let's go down a brush size. I'm just sketching this on like that. I'm just adding that texture in. And I'm going to do another new layer. And let's go for like a brown colour now. Let's go for like a sort of a brown colour. Different brush, different texture. I've got my atmosphere sort of building there. What I've got here is I've got a bit of a problem in that the texture of my planet is going outside of the planet. And to help me fix this, I'm going to do something which is awesome. All of these layers here, you can turn them on and off. You could go back and edit them. So if you select it, you can then edit that layer. But you can also do something called a clipping mask. And what a clipping mask is this circle here, if I set that as the clip mask, it means that nothing can go outside of that circle because there's only a circle on that layer. I'll show you what I mean. If I click clipping mask, you can see all these layers with the clipping mask, they're sticking to the edge of that circle there, aren't they? Pretty cool, eh? I'm going to go back and do a new layer, and I'm going to do some light behind my planet. And to do that, I've created a new layer, and I hold it down with my finger and drag it behind my planet. And what I mean by light is I want to think about my galaxy behind my planet. Let's do artistic. Let's do that one there. And as I sort of shade around here, you can't see where my finger's pointing. My finger's pointing in the middle of the circle, but because it's behind that circle, it's allowing me to draw behind it. So if I was to turn that circle off, you'd see that's what I've drawn. I want to draw a bit more now, actually. Let's do some spray paint. Do another new layer. The galaxies are made up of lots of different colours, aren't they? So let's do like that. Let's do that. So I've got a spray paint layer, and I'm whizzing through this. Do another new layer. And I'm just doing the edges of the planet there. Okay, can you see it's really starting to build up like a real planet, isn't it? What do I want to do now? What do I want to do now? What do I want to do now? Let's do a bit more of a galaxy behind it. So let's do a new layer. Drag that right behind. I'm going to use one of the more... Let's use a splatter brush, actually. This one here, I want my galaxy to be a bit further away, so I want the background to seem like it's coming through. And you see, I'm just using a bit of texture there. My galaxy's going like that. And I'm using the brush to help me do this. Let's do another new layer. This galaxy got loads and loads of different colours, haven't they? So let's try airbrush. What have we got in here? Let's try... Part of the fun of this is just experimenting with all the different brushes. Let's go back to spray paint because get this done quickly for you. Let's do flicks and let's do some white. Opacity on my slider here, I'm going to turn right down. I'm just going to gently build up something there like that. My planet at the moment looks a little bit, it looks good. I'm happy-ish with it, but it looks a little bit flat. What I can do is I can add a bit of light to this. Add a bit of light, and I can do that by adding some shading. So to do that, I'm going to go back to my layers, do a new layer above that circle, but I'm going to double tap it, clip mask down to that circle. And I'm just going to get a brush. And for this one, I am going to use let's try ultra fine nozzle actually. I'm going to use a darker colour. Turn my opacity down. I'm going to imagine that my light is coming from the left. I'm just going to gently shade. Let's turn the brush size up. Gently shade with my finger. And you can see it's making that side of the planet look a lot darker. So it's looking a lot more like the dark side of the moon almost. I'm going to press down a bit harder. And I'm even going to go for a darker black as well. So it's almost like there's only light on this planet coming from the left-hand side. One more thing, just to make my planet complete, I'm going to draw let's draw a ring around my planet. Now, to do that, let's go with that one there. And you can choose any brush you like, and you'll have lots of fun finding these brushes, but my ring's going to be quite a bright ring. Let's go with that there. I'm just going to go 2 fingers up like that. Like that. Now that looks rubbish, doesn't it? Looks rubbish. Bring that line in there like that. Let's go back actually. 2 fingers. Let's go back. That brush isn't right, that's why. Let's go like that. There we go, that's quite cool. But what I want my ring to do is almost have a little bit of texture and a bit of light underneath it. So create a new layer, and then underneath that, I'm going to pick a brush like that. Let's do a brighter yellow. And I'm just going to flicker it just like that. So that's quite a cool brush, that. I'm going to make it a bit smaller using my slider over here. I'm going to do something different with that. I'm going to do a little shooting star over here. No. Why is that? Ah, I've got my clipping mask on. Let's just get rid of that layer, start again. Let's go there. Shooting star, big shooting star. Let's go on down there. Use my smudge stick to smudge that out. You get the idea. I'm actually going to stop it. I'm going to stop because I could carry on for hours with this, and I want you to really just get stuck into what you're doing. So I would like you to borrow a tablet or a phone off an adult in the house. If you've got something with an Apple on it, you can download Procreate. If you haven't, in a moment I'm going to share some alternative apps that you can use. And then what I'd like you to do is just have fun with this. You might not draw a planet. You might do some pencil sketching of a face like that. You might, do something quite 2D or colourful like that. Have some fun with it, but do have a go at doing the planet, because here's one I did a while ago, and I love doing this. Absolutely amazing. And as you've seen today, it's really, really easy to get started. So have fun, enjoy, and don't forget to share your work with us. Share at londonsouthart.hub.org. If you're on an Android device, here's a list of apps that you could use as alternatives. They'll all do exactly the same thing. Things might be in slightly different places, but have fun, explore, and let me know how you get on. Enjoy!